Good morning, my dear friend. Before anything else begins today, before the sounds of your home slowly come alive, before the weight of the coming week finds its way back into your thoughts, I want you to notice this moment. Right now, there is a kind of quiet that rarely lasts. Your home is still. The people you love are resting. Nothing is being asked of you yet. And that is not a random moment. It is a window. A small, often overlooked window where your heart is not being pulled in 10 different directions, where your mind has not yet been crowded by responsibilities, conversations, or pressure. This is where renewal begins. So instead of rushing past it, stay here for a moment. Take a slow breath. Not to perform, not to force anything, just to become aware. Let your shoulders drop naturally. Let your thoughts slow down without trying to control them. You don't have to solve anything right now. You don't have to fix anyone. You don't even have to understand everything. You are simply here, and God is already here. There is something about Sunday mornings that feels different but also complicated. On one hand, it is meant to be a day of rest, a reset, a pause. But in reality, many people wake up carrying two things at once: the exhaustion of the past week and the quiet pressure of the week ahead. It's like standing between two waves. One has already hit you, the other is already forming, and somewhere in between you are trying to breathe. That tension doesn't always show on the outside, but inside it can feel heavy. You might be thinking about unfinished work, conversations that didn't go well, financial pressure that hasn't gone away, or simply a quiet sense that you didn't fully recover. And at the same time, Monday is already waiting. Schedules, responsibilities, expectations. So even before your family wakes up, your mind is already moving forward. But today, we are not going to move forward immediately. We are going to reset first. Not by pushing harder, not by trying to control everything better, but by stepping into a different posture. Instead of carrying, we surrender. Because if you're honest, a large part of what weighs on you is not just your own life. It's your family, the people in the other rooms, your spouse, your children, your parents, the ones you care about deeply. You think about what they are going through, even the things they don't say, the stress they carry, the worries they hide, the changes you don't fully understand, and without realizing it, you start carrying all of it. You try to hold the emotional climate of the entire home. You try to keep peace, prevent conflict, protect everyone. And that comes from love, but it also becomes a burden, because no matter how much you care, you were never meant to carry every heart in your family. So this morning we are choosing a different kind of love, a quieter one, a deeper one, a love that does not try to control everything, but trusts God with what it cannot control. Lord, in this quiet moment before anyone else wakes up, I come to you without trying to organize my thoughts perfectly. I just come as I am. Thank you for this day, not in a rushed or automatic way, but in a way that recognizes something simple. I did not create this morning, but I get to live in it. While we were asleep, you were present. While everything in this house was silent, you were still working. You saw what we could not see. You guarded what we could not guard. You carried what we did not even know was heavy. And now we are here. But I also recognize something else. It is very easy to wake up already tense, to immediately think about what needs to be fixed, what needs to be handled, what might go wrong. Sometimes even before I leave this room, my mind is already tired. So today I don't want to carry yesterday into today. I don't want to bring frustration into a fresh morning. I don't want to carry silent resentment into new conversations. I don't want to start this day already drained. So I pause, and I lay those things down, not because they are small, but because I don't have to carry them alone. Renew my mind today, not with noise, but with clarity. Not with pressure, but with steadiness. Remove the quiet irritations, the hidden fatigue, the emotional weight that has been building, and replace it with something deeper than temporary calm. Give me a grounded spirit, so that when my family wakes up, they don't meet my stress. They meet peace, not a forced version of it, but something real, something stable, something that does not depend on perfect circumstances, because I know this. The atmosphere of a home is not built by control, it is shaped by what we carry inside. And too often I bring tension into the room without realizing it. Short responses, impatience, a tone that comes from being overwhelmed, not because I don't care, but because I am running on empty. So today reset the atmosphere of this home, not through effort, but through your presence. Let forgiveness be easier. Let patience last longer. Let words be softer and more intentional. And where there has been tension building slowly, begin to release it. Not all at once, but genuinely. And Lord, I bring my family before you. Not in a general way, but personally. You know each of them in ways I never will. You see what they carry even when they don't say it. You understand their thoughts, their fears, their quiet struggles. So before they even wake up today, meet them. For the adults in this home, the ones carrying responsibility, pressure, financial weight, work stress that doesn't turn off, give them relief. Not by removing everything instantly, but by reminding them they are not holding everything alone. Let them feel supported, not just expected to keep going. For the younger ones, the children, the teenagers, the ones stepping into a world that is loud, fast, and often confusing, protect their minds, not just from obvious harm, but from subtle pressure, comparison, doubt, identity confusion. Give them a quiet confidence that does not depend on approval. Anchor them in something deeper than trends, something stable. And for this family as a whole, teach us something simple but difficult. We do not have to control each other to love each other well. And Lord, as this quiet morning continues, I want to bring before you something we often overlook until it begins to affect everything else. Our bodies, our emotions, the invisible wear that builds over time. Because sometimes what looks like impatience is actually exhaustion. Sometimes what sounds like distance is really depletion. Sometimes what we call a bad attitude is a heart and body that have simply been carrying too much for too long. And in a family, this matters. Because when one person is worn down, everyone can feel it. When rest has been missing for too many days in a row, even small things begin to feel heavier than they should. A normal conversation becomes sharp. A simple request feels irritating. A minor inconvenience turns into tension that fills the whole room. So before this day moves forward, I want to slow down and acknowledge something honestly. Some of us are tired in ways sleep alone cannot fix. There is physical fatigue, yes. The kind that settles into the shoulders, the back, the eyes. The kind that comes from working, caregiving, worrying, carrying, staying available, staying responsible, and doing it again the next day. But there is also emotional fatigue, and that kind is harder to explain. It is the tiredness of always having to be strong, the heaviness of thinking too much and saying too little, the quiet strain of holding yourself together while still trying to keep the people around you steady. The kind of depletion that does not always look dramatic from the outside, but changes the way you respond, the way you listen, the way you love. So today, Father, I ask for healing that is not superficial. I do not ask only for a better mood. I ask for renewal at the deeper level. For anyone in this home who is waking up already worn down, meet them gently. For the one whose body has been dealing with pain in silence, bring relief. For the one whose mind has not truly rested in days, bring quiet. For the one who keeps saying, "I'm fine," because they do not know how to explain the weight they are carrying, bring tenderness and strength. You are not distant from any of this. You are not only present in dramatic miracles, you are also present in the slow work of restoring what life has gradually drained. So I ask you to breathe peace into this home at the level where stress has settled into the body. Where there is tightness, loosen it. Where there is weariness, strengthen it. Where there is hidden pain, bring comfort. Where there is burnout, interrupt it before it becomes bitterness. And teach us as a family not to treat exhaustion like failure. Sometimes we become hardest on each other in the moments we most need grace. We assume the worst instead of recognizing fatigue. We react to tone instead of asking what pain might be underneath it. We demand patience from people who have nothing left in the tank. Lord, help us become wiser in the way we see one another. Let us not excuse harmful behavior, but let us learn to recognize when someone is running on empty. Let us be slower to judge, slower to snap, slower to turn one rough moment into a story about someone's whole character. Give this household the kind of compassion that notices when a person does not need correction first. They need rest. They need gentleness. They need room to breathe. And where healing needs to come through practical means, guide us there too. Give us wisdom to honor our limits. Wisdom to slow down before our bodies force us to. Wisdom to seek help when help is needed. Wisdom to stop calling constant depletion normal just because it has become familiar. Because a home cannot become a place of peace if everyone inside it is silently unraveling. So let today be a place of repair. Not a performance of peace. Real peace. Not pretending everyone is okay, but allowing your presence to meet us exactly where we are. And Lord, as I continue in this quiet moment, I need to confess something deeper. There are times when what exhausts me most is not the situation itself, but my need to manage it. My need to anticipate everything. My need to prevent problems before they happen. My need to keep everybody okay. There is a kind of control that looks responsible on the outside. It even looks loving. It says, I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to protect them. I'm just trying to keep things from falling apart. But underneath it, there is often fear. Fear that if I loosen my grip, things will go wrong. Fear that if I stop carrying it all mentally, emotionally, practically, no one else will. Fear that if I do not stay alert, stay involved, stay ahead, then the people I love may suffer. And that fear is tiring. It makes rest difficult because even in quiet moments, part of me is still scanning, still planning, still bracing, still trying to hold tomorrow before tomorrow even arrives. But Lord, my hands were never meant to hold that much. I was never called to be the savior of this household. I was never designed to carry every outcome. I was never given the power to control hearts, protect every path, or secure the future through worry. So today I surrender more than my burdens. I surrender my illusion of control. I surrender the belief that peace in this home depends entirely on me managing everyone correctly. I surrender the pressure of thinking I must keep every relationship balanced, every emotion regulated, every problem contained. I surrender the need to fix what only you can heal. And this surrender is not passive. It is not giving up on the people I love. It is choosing a truer form of trust. It is saying, I will love them well. I will show up with wisdom. I will take responsibility for what is mine to carry. But I will not keep acting as though everything depends on my grip. Because control has a way of disguising itself as devotion while quietly draining the soul. It makes love tense. It makes care feel heavy. It makes a home feel less like a place of rest and more like a place where everyone is being managed. Lord, free me from that. Teach me how to love without controlling, how to care without clinging, how to guide without gripping, how to support without suffocating. Show me how to trust your work in the people I love, even when I cannot see immediate change. And where there are things in my family that feel unresolved, stubborn, or fragile, help me not to turn anxiety into interference. Help me know when to speak and when to be quiet, when to step forward and when to step back, when encouragement is needed and when silence would be wiser, when a conversation should happen and when it is time to stop forcing what is not ready. Because not every problem is solved by more pressure, and not every relationship heals because one person tries harder. Sometimes the holiest thing I can do is stop pushing and start trusting. And Lord, from that place, I bring before you the words spoken in this home, because words shape atmosphere. Not only the big conversations, the small ones too, the everyday tone, the repeated phrases, the way we answer when we are interrupted, the way we respond when we are tired, the way frustration slips into ordinary moments. A home is built not just by major decisions, but by repeated interactions. And sometimes what damages closeness is not one dramatic betrayal. It is the accumulation of smaller injuries. A dismissive tone here, sarcasm there, constant correction, being physically present but emotionally unavailable, hearing words but not listening beneath them. Little by little, people stop feeling safe, Not necessarily unsafe in a dramatic sense, just tired of being misunderstood, tired of being talked at instead of talked with, tired of bringing something vulnerable into the room only to have it handled carelessly. Lord, teach us to speak in a way that protects connection. Let this home not be a place where people have to brace themselves before they speak. Let it not be a place where fear of tone, reaction, or dismissal quietly shuts hearts down. Give us self-control in ordinary moments, the kind that does not only appear during serious prayer, but in kitchens, hallways, car rides, tired evenings, and inconvenient interruptions. Help us be quick to listen, not quick to prepare a defense, not quick to prove a point, not quick to assume motive. Give us the maturity to pause before we respond, to ask one more question, to lower our voice instead of raising it, to choose clarity over accusation, to choose honesty without harshness. And when conflict comes, because it will, teach us how to handle it without turning each disagreement into distance. Let us not weaponize old wounds. Let us not store up past mistakes just to use them later. Let us not confuse volume with truth or silence with peace. Real peace is not avoiding tension at all costs. Real peace is learning how to walk through tension without tearing each other apart. So where there have been repeated patterns in this home that slowly damage trust, expose them gently, not to shame us, but to heal us. Show us the habits of speech that need to end, the assumptions that need to be challenged, the defensiveness that needs to soften, the unresolved hurt beneath the surface that keeps leaking into ordinary moments. And where apologies are needed, give us humility. Real humility, not the kind that says sorry just to end discomfort, but the kind that takes responsibility clearly, the kind that does not rush to explain itself first, the kind that values repair more than pride. And Lord, I also lift up the relationships in this family that feel more broken than strained. The ones where the distance is no longer small, the ones where something important was damaged and has not really recovered. The ones where people are still in the same house, maybe still sharing the same routines, but emotionally they have stepped away from each other. You see that kind of pain clearly. You see marriages where conversation has become functional but not close. You see parents and children who love each other but no longer understand one another. You see siblings carrying old resentment for so long that it has started to feel normal. You see the family member who has drifted, the one who avoids, the one who shuts down, the one who always keeps part of themselves guarded. And Lord, some of these fractures did not appear overnight. They formed over years, through disappointment, through words that were not forgotten, through needs that were dismissed, through emotional absence, through seasons when survival became more urgent than connection. So I do not ask for easy repair. I ask for honest repair. Begin where healing must truly begin, where pride has hardened the heart, soften it, where pain has turned into distance, meet it, where trust has been damaged, guide the rebuilding patiently. Where someone feels unseen in this home, let truth reach that place. And where reconciliation cannot happen quickly, teach us not to fake closeness just to look peaceful. Give us courage for slow healing, the kind that tells the truth, the kind that respects boundaries, the kind that does not confuse denial with restoration. For some relationships, healing may begin with one honest conversation. For others, it may begin with silence that is no longer cold, but thoughtful. For others, it may simply begin with one person choosing not to repeat the same wound again. Wherever this family stands, do not let hopelessness take over. Do not let us accept permanent distance as though nothing can change. And do not let us chase quick emotional relief while avoiding the deeper work. Be present in the repair. Guide the words that need to be spoken. Restrain the ones that would only reopen harm. Teach us how to rebuild trust in ways that are real, measurable, and patient. And Lord, now I bring before you one of the most practical burdens a family carries, and often one of the heaviest: money. Financial pressure has a way of entering the home quietly and then changing the emotional temperature of everything. It affects sleep, it affects tone, It affects decisions. It affects marriages. It affects the way parents respond to children and the way adults carry themselves through the day. It does not stay in numbers. It moves into the atmosphere. A bill on the table becomes tension in a conversation. A delayed payment becomes irritation at dinner. A fragile job situation becomes silence between people who do not know how to talk about fear without making it bigger. And sometimes the hardest part is not only lack, it is uncertainty. Not knowing if what is coming in will be enough. Not knowing what new expense is around the corner. Not knowing how long the margin will hold. Not knowing whether to act, wait, cut back, risk more, or conserve what little is left. That kind of pressure can make a person feel constantly alert. It can make generosity shrink. It can make small disagreements feel larger because underneath them sits a deeper question. Are we going to be okay? So Lord, today I do not want to speak about provision in vague language. You know exactly what this family needs. You know the bills, the deadlines, the hidden calculations, the quiet fear, the embarrassment some feel for not being able to provide the way they hoped, the pressure some carry because everyone else depends on them staying stable. Meet us there. For the one carrying the responsibility of earning, strengthen them. For the one managing the lack, comfort them. For the one losing sleep over numbers, steady them. For the one silently ashamed of where things stand, remind them that hardship is not the same as failure. And give this family wisdom, not magical thinking. Wisdom. Wisdom to plan clearly. Wisdom to speak honestly about money without blame. Wisdom to make difficult choices without turning on each other. Wisdom to distinguish between what is urgent and what is only emotional. Wisdom to steward what we do have instead of living only in fear of what we do not. Protect this household from the kind of financial stress that slowly poisons love. Do not let lack turn us against one another. Do not let pressure make us cruel. Do not let worry become accusation. Do not let providing become an identity so heavy that if a person struggles, they feel they themselves have become less worthy. And Lord, where doors need to open, open them. Not every opportunity is right, and not every closed door is punishment. So give clarity, give discernment, give courage to act when action is needed, and restraint when impatience wants to force something too quickly. Provide through work, provide through wisdom, provide through timing, provide through help we were too proud to ask for, provide through opportunities that are solid, not deceptive, provide in ways that preserve peace, integrity, and health. And while provision is still unfolding, teach us how to live without letting fear dominate the home. Let this family become more united under pressure, not more divided. Let hard seasons make us more honest, not more hostile. Let us learn how to sit at the table and speak truthfully about real needs without collapsing into panic. Because peace is not pretending everything is easy. Peace is refusing to let fear become the loudest voice in the room. So today, I surrender not only the financial burden itself, but the emotional burden that comes with it, the constant mental calculations, the what-ifs, the private dread, the pressure to appear okay, the temptation to carry it alone so no one else feels it. I place it in your hands, and I ask for something very practical and very sacred. Let this home remain gentle, even under strain. Let love stay intact while solutions are still forming. Let dignity stay intact while resources feel tight. Let trust stay intact while the future still feels unclear. Because a family does not only need money, it needs peace while walking through the uncertainty around money. And that peace, Lord, is something only you can anchor deeply enough to hold. So as this morning continues, restore what is tired, loosen what I have been gripping too hard. Heal the speech patterns that wound. Begin mending what has been broken. And stand in the middle of every practical burden we are carrying, not far away, not later, here, now, in this home, in these relationships, in these bodies, in these thoughts, in these real and ordinary struggles. Be our healer, be our peace, be our wisdom, be our provider, and let the grace you begin in this quiet hour remain when the rest of the house wakes up. Lord, as this quiet morning begins to move toward the day ahead, my thoughts naturally turn to what is coming. Not just today, but the days that follow. because even in this stillness, there is an awareness in the background. Soon the house will be awake. Soon the conversations will begin. Soon we will step out of this protected space and into a world that does not move at this pace. And that world is not always gentle. It is fast, it is demanding, it is often impatient, and at times it can be deeply draining. So before my family steps into that environment, I ask for protection. Not only physical protection, though that matters, but a deeper kind of protection. Protection of the mind, protection of the heart, protection of peace. Father, go before us into this week, not in a distant or symbolic way, but in a real, present way that shapes what we encounter. When my family walks into offices, classrooms, meetings, conversations, and unexpected situations, let your presence arrive before they do. Shift what can be shifted, restrain what needs to be restrained, and strengthen them for what cannot be avoided. Because not everything will be easy. There will be pressure. There will be moments of misunderstanding. There will be unexpected friction. There will be people carrying their own frustration who may pass it on without realizing. So I do not ask for a week without challenge. I ask for a family that remains steady within it. Guard their minds, because the mind is where most battles begin. Before conflict becomes visible, before stress becomes external, it usually starts as a thought that questions worth, a thought that magnifies fear, a thought that compares, a thought that assumes the worst, a thought that quietly says, "You are not enough," or "You are falling behind," or "This is too much for you." And in a world that never stops speaking, those thoughts come constantly, through conversations, through expectations, through what they see on screens, through what others achieve, through subtle messages that slowly shape how they see themselves. So, Lord, I ask for something very specific. Do not let every voice have equal weight in their minds. Give them discernment. When a thought enters that is not rooted in truth, let them recognize it quickly. When pressure tries to define their value, let them resist it. When comparison begins to steal their confidence, interrupt it. Anchor their identity somewhere deeper than performance. Because if identity is tied only to results, then every failure becomes a crisis. If identity is tied only to approval, then every rejection becomes a wound. If identity is tied only to appearance or status, then peace will never be stable. So root them in something that does not shift every day. Let them know who they are without needing constant validation. Let them walk into rooms without shrinking. Let them face challenges without immediately doubting themselves. Let them make mistakes without losing their sense of worth. And when the world becomes loud, teach them how to return to quiet, not by escaping responsibility, but by remembering truth. Lord, protect their attention, because where attention goes, energy follows. And in this time we live in, attention is constantly being pulled. Notifications, messages, endless content, endless opinions, endless noise. It is possible to be physically present in a home but mentally scattered everywhere else. So guard their focus. Help them not to lose themselves in distraction. Help them not to carry unnecessary mental clutter into their relationships. Help them not to become so consumed by outside noise that they lose connection with what matters most inside this home. Teach them how to pause, how to disconnect when needed, how to be fully present with the people in front of them, because attention is one of the purest forms of love. And Lord, I ask for protection over their emotional responses, because not every situation they face will be fair. Not every interaction will be kind. Not every environment will be healthy. There will be moments where frustration rises quickly, moments where anger feels justified, moments where defense feels necessary. In those moments, slow them down, not by removing their strength, but by guiding it. Give them the ability to respond instead of react, to pause instead of escalate, to choose clarity instead of assumption, to hold their ground without becoming harsh, to walk away when needed without carrying bitterness. Because strength is not only in speaking loudly, sometimes it is in knowing when not to. And peace is not weakness. It is discipline. Lord, as I continue, I bring before you the decisions that are waiting ahead. Some of them small, some of them significant, some already known, others not yet visible. But decisions shape direction, and direction shapes life. So I ask for guidance that is clear enough to follow, but also wise enough to require trust, for the one in this family facing a specific choice right now. Meet them directly. You see the options in front of them. You see what each path leads toward. You see what they cannot yet see, where confusion is heavy. Bring clarity. Not rushed clarity, not pressure disguised as urgency, but a steady understanding that grows strong enough to act on. Guard them from decisions made out of fear. Fear of missing out. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of losing something. Fear of being left behind. Because decisions driven by fear often create more problems than they solve. Also guard them from decisions made out of exhaustion. Because when a person is tired, even good options can look overwhelming. And sometimes the wrong choice is made simply because it feels easier in the moment. So give them the ability to pause, to think clearly, to seek wisdom, to ask the right questions, to listen beyond noise, and when it is time to move, give them courage. Because clarity without courage still leads to hesitation. And Lord, for me, teach me how to support without controlling. When someone I love is making a decision, help me not to rush in with my own answers too quickly. Help me not to pressure them into what feels safe to me but may not be right for them. Give me the wisdom to know when to speak and when to trust that you are already guiding them. Because sometimes love becomes overwhelming when it turns into constant correction. So teach me restraint, teach me timing, teach me trust. Lord, as this moment begins to close, I want to do something intentional. I want to seal what has been placed here. Because it is easy to feel peace and quiet and then slowly pick everything back up once the day begins. So before I stand up, before I step into the roles waiting for me, I choose not to carry this all with me. I leave it here, the worries about this week, the concerns about my family, the things I cannot fix, the outcomes I cannot control. I place them in your hands and I do not take them back. And as my family begins to wake, let them step into an atmosphere that is different. Not because everything is perfect, but because something real has shifted. Let the tone be softer. Let the pace be calmer. Let the conversations carry less tension. When they walk into the same rooms they always walk into, let them feel something they cannot fully explain. Peace. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady. Bless this home. Not only with protection, but with presence. Let this be a place where people can exhale. A place where they do not have to perform to be accepted. A place where they are known and still loved. A place where they can return after a long day and feel something settle inside them. And as they go out into the world this week, let them carry that peace with them. Not perfectly, but consistently, so that wherever they go, they do not just absorb the atmosphere around them, they influence it. Lord, I thank you, not only for what I can see, but for what I cannot, for the things you are already arranging, for the problems you are already preventing, for the paths you are already preparing. Even when I do not notice, you are working, and that is enough for me to trust you today. So now, as I take this final breath in this quiet moment, I receive what has been given here, not as something temporary, but as something I can carry forward. And I speak this blessing over myself and over my family. May we walk into this day steady, not rushed. May we face this week grounded, not anxious. May we respond with clarity, not reaction. May we live with trust, not fear. And when the noise returns, when pressure rises, when things do not go as planned, remind us of this moment. Remind us that we are not walking alone. Remind us that we do not have to carry everything. Remind us that peace is still available even in motion. I step into this day with open hands, not gripping, not bracing, trusting, and I place my family, my home, my week into your care. Amen.